This is the week of our big court case, and I get robbed again. I'm trying to overcomplicate to simplify, and companies are out there trying to steal our work. And in the new yard, there's a lot of profiling going on. But I stopped some of the work because something is going to get weighed in. I'm Daniel, this is Ashville Weekly, episode 190. Monday morning, we're in the yard. It's going to be a big week for track work. From this point down to there, everything has been lined up perfectly and the ballast is being compacted. Now, ordinarily, the ballast between the sleepers is not compacted, but we are trying to prepare for concrete. If you have a look this way, you'll see it's perfect. Have a look that way, you can see it goes a bit. Now, that is all going to be corrected. We're using the survey tools to work our way down and get this how we need it. Last week, you saw us put a flailer onto one of our machines to put it out on a higher job for the first time ever. Ben is dropping it off this morning, and work is about to begin. The flailer is being used to cut back encroaching vegetation and tree branches to gain access to the ditch, to allow an excavator to dig the silt from the bottom and any arisings due to the presence of parrot feather. Parrot feather is an underwater plant which grows in lakes, ponds and ditches. The problem with it is that it grows extremely fast and can take over shallow areas completely. This can block drainage, which accelerates flooding and can block natural light to native species within the aquatic ecosystem. So, this is an extremely important undertaking which most of us don't even know happens. Once excavated, the parrot feather is moved to an area away from the watercourse. Got a bit of a clean-up operation going on at the moment. Getting ready for our move. When we go into this yard, there's no point taking stuff which Daniel has been hoarding for X amount of years. Let's throw that lovely graphic on screen. This stuff you can see is building materials from jobs which are in the container, which we hope to use when we start new projects, but some of them have been in the container for 5 years. So the lads are having a clean out, and stuff we are not going to use is going into a skip, and whatever's left is stuff which we can reuse on jobs. Also, my Land Rover is being prepared for sale, so I am just about to change the side step and put a new back cover on the spare wheel. I also need to take out a dent in the front of it, a new windscreen, and respray all of the alloys, because for some reason somebody keeps chipping them. I don't know why that is. It's not like I scratched them when I was parking or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm talking about the new one.
I do not have time to get to the refurbishment project this week, but I had a meeting this morning with David. I have answered a couple of questions which don't need to be on camera, because you'll see a couple of weeks back, David's trying to make out like when I say something, if it's not on an email, I change my mind after. I don't know why David would suggest something like that. But of course, the work is continuing at the refurbishment project. Peter is using a paintbrush to apply PVA glue to the block walls around the entrance to the property. This will improve the bond between the surface of the wall and adhesive when we fit the insulated plasterboard. Almost there with the insulation between the rafters in the vaulted ceiling area of the kitchen. This is the second layer. In the very small gaps, which are unavoidable, we fit expanding foam to ensure the insulation is secured and the area airtight. With fitting the second skin of soundboard to the vaulted ceiling area, which will be above the staircase. The intricate cutting happens on the ground floor, and then pieces are handed to the fitter on the temporary tower. You know, the continuous challenges and things just break. Just randomly, they just break. Last week, the pump died on our fuel dispenser, and we paid to have it delivered on Saturday. We paid for next day. Of course it didn't turn up, but it has turned up this morning, so we're gonna try and fit it on here today, and hopefully, when all the vehicles get back at the end of the day, they'll be able to refuel. Once we have the old dead pump out, we need to take a few fittings off it and fit them onto the new pump before it's bolted into place and connected. There's not a lot of space to work in, it's very tight. It's on, and as they say, the proof is in the pudding. Let's see if it works. I bring gifts and news from Dubai. The project is progressing very well. I'm trying to organize my work timetable here to ensure that the next time I visit Dubai, they are doing a significant bit of work, like possibly the ground floor slab. I was speaking to the project manager earlier, not that they need me, but the project is progressing well. Concrete is being applied to some of the piles for a process called gunting. This is where a spray gun with a nozzle discharges concrete from a high pressure pumping machine. Then it's the casting of the slab for the underground pump rooms and sump pits, which I showed you when I was on site. I showed you the multiple level build-ups for the basement level slab. The C20 concrete is in place, and now the reinforcement work is starting for the C40 slab, which sits directly on top of it. In the new yard, we're going to have flood lighting as we do now, but the system in the current yard has PIR sensors when it gets dark, which are battery operated. The batteries run out randomly and you think there's a problem with the lights and there isn't, and sometimes they stop working and the lights start flickering. I want to go for a completely new system. I want to hardwire all the sensors. However, I want to bunch together different areas. I'm not going to have any lights at all on the fence which separates us with the main line. Everything will be on the structures, buildings, and retaining walls. There'll be 4 sections. One, the entire bottom area of the yard, where the wash bay is, the wheel wash, front gates, train, carriage, and the car park. The next one will be the offices and the workshop. And then I think that we need to divide the material bays. That needs to be divided into 2 sections because that area is just so long. Now in that area, we're going to have the retaining walls, which are going to be 5 meters high. But then I'm going to take 6 meter scaffold poles, leave 1 meter of the pole in the top of the 5 meter wall, so then it's 5 meters high. When you have material in the bay, if it's piled up relatively high, the light might not help you. The lights on top of the material bay are going to light the entire train track area. Not that the LH60 doesn't have its own lights and can work at night, but we need to ensure that the vehicles and plant that work in that area, everybody has full visibility. I could run all the cables to a central point and have a load of basic white plastic switches on the wall, but I hope there is a system which can bring all of this together and give us an easy interface to control it, which doesn't require NASA to get involved and program any of it. I want to overcomplicate it to simplify it. Forgive me for saying this. I don't think a system like that should be too expensive because we're doing all the cabling, we're supplying all the lights, we're going to have all the sensors. So it's really just an interface that we're going to need.
There we go. I've done a good job on that.
Still having problems with this compressor. We have a new coil on the side of it, which we're pulling. It will not spark. There was a new cable and a new spark plug. No matter what we do, it won't work. We tested the ignition and the ignition had power. I asked for a drawing, and from this drawing, my townie says we need number 5, 10, and 12. We need to get this going because at the moment we're bringing third parties in to repair our wheels and change wheels over when we have a perfectly good tyre van and used to have a perfectly good compressor till the other day. It's now Monday evening. The time is 10 minutes past 7. I'm heading up north to stay in a hotel because I have a very early start in the morning. It's going to be an extremely busy day, and if I tried to make this journey at 5 a.m. in the morning and there was an accident, it could throw everything out of sync, so I'm heading up there now. I told you a couple of weeks back about the company that we were going to provide prices on sand and gravel, and then they went after our work specifically and tried to steal it, and they then cancelled the meeting when Sam said to them,
listen, can you not do that, please? We're trying to work with you. We don't do it to you, don't do it to us.
They've been back at it again, but because of Sam's relationship with our clients, they tell us this other company, all they can do is keep turning up and saying,
cheaper, 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 cheaper.
They sound like the budgie.
Cheap, cheap, cheap.
Sam wasn't happy about this. He took it personal, which I'm happy. It means he bleeds Ashville. We had a chat and he had a chat with Terry. We explained to him that in a case like this, it's best to let it go. Because clearly they're not listening. And on an off occasion, when we couldn't do a job, they've served clients that we normally serve, and every time they've done it, the quality of the product has been brought into question and the service has been lacking. When you keep going in as the budgie,
cheap, cheap, cheap,
you will always be remembered as that. And without a relationship with the company and providing service is key. You're never going to be able to keep your foot in the door. You might get your foot in the door, but you won't keep it in there. When you work with contractors at a certain tier, saving them 20p per cubic meter of concrete or even a pound, it doesn't equate to when you get it wrong and they have to pay an entire gang to stay late, or you cause delays on their job and they get charged damages at the end of the job. It doesn't tally up, and most top tier contractors, they realize this, so they stick with companies that provide them with fantastic service and also competitive rates. You're not just going to get the job because of the previous relationship. They will ask others to price it just to ensure that you're within the right ballpark, but the relationship is there and you always get the first shout as long as you keep up with the excellent service you've been providing. So Sammy has let it go. He is going to sleep on it, and that's it for Monday. It's Tuesday morning. I'm in Stratford-upon-Avon. Yesterday, you saw what I did with my car. When I was parking, I deliberately reverse parked against the wall. My cover did not last 24 hours. They stole it from me already. I cannot believe that. I've been robbed again. And it wasn't cheap. Oh my goodness. Well, that's the start of Tuesday. Let's hope that the rest of Tuesday doesn't continue in the same way. It's Tuesday, and I'm under a train. I already said it was Tuesday earlier, didn't I? I didn't know they made pits for trains. I now know that they do. So I'm taking a look. Speaking of trains, a lot of trains around. Something big and very special is happening. I am most definitely excited. And I'm also excited about what's going on in the north of the country. Last week, you saw we sent Welder Faber our 586 loading shovel and the L860 bucket. The cab is now off our loading shovel and they're going to pull out the transmission. And Welder Faber is now gouging out all the cracks on our L860 bucket and he's going to strengthen it. It's Wednesday. Want to run again? Or should I say, I'm still on the road. I'm in some part of the country, heading to another part of the country. The weather is not working in my favor, but when did that ever stop Ashville from trying to move forward? Today in the yard, we are starting the profiling of the track. In basic terms, this means that a specialist comes in with a grinder and they are able to trim down the existing rail and increase the size of the lip to give it more life. Let's see how that work is going. Finished my meeting and it is now 2 hours to get back to the yard. 100 miles. I asked our good friends at GB Rail Freight to pop down and have a look at our track because ultimately they're going to be the ones running the trains. It's going to be their box wagons or their bottom discharge units. Click here to watch that video until we get our own. And just to have a look over it to ensure they're happy with the radiuses. The track work is spot on, everything is fantastic, so we're good to concrete, but they made a fantastic suggestion. You saw in the past the graphic we showed you about the level of concrete and how high the concrete was going to go, just below the rails. GB Rail Freight have suggested that we only do that lower level in between the rails, and on the outside, the concrete goes to the top of the rail. This means if the shovel is driving over there trying to clean, it's not going to catch on the rail. It gives it additional support, and the wheel actually only sits on the inside of the rail in the central part of the track. So it makes perfect sense because the shuttering is high enough already. So fill with concrete up to the level of the track on the outside on both sides and just have it lower on the inside so the wheels from the wagons can sit just inside. Fantastic idea. Thank you to GB Rail Freight. I just spoke to the engineers doing the track. They said it's not going to be a problem. So when I get back in front of the computer, I am going to send an email to confirm so we're all on the same page. Nice. Ben has popped down to collect a cab dumper as we don't have one in the yard. He drops it to the site you saw earlier in the week using the machine with the flailer attachment. Thursday and I'm in the new yard. Shuttering is going in place for the concrete pours, which will probably start early next week. We're preparing 6 meters, then we're leaving 6 meters, then 6 meters again, then we're leaving 6 meters. I'm happy we're doing it like this because there's a weighing system what I want to put in place, what I spoke about a few weeks back. Here, I think I need to do something within the formwork so we can be prepared for the weighing system. I'm not sure if I'm going to put some pipe within the concrete so we can run cables later, or put a couple of pieces of timber so the weighers can actually sit on the track. I'm just waiting for the company to get back to us. But the profiling is near down the bottom. It's going extremely well, and the shuttering is also going well. Today's the big day for the court case, which I don't want to speak about, because if I speak, I'll be in big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble. Matt went up to Wales last night. He stayed overnight. The time now is 1 minute past 1, and the court case is at 2 p.m.
It's 13:01.
Yes, see, it's a good thing I wasn't lying, 13:01. So we wish Matt and Ashville the best of luck, and hopefully to regain our £60,000 plus costs. We're concreting up to this level here. And on the inside, we're going down here, but here, we're going to this level. It'll be lower in the middle and higher on the outside. If you guys could concrete all the way to the fence where possible. What I'm worried about is cracking, that the concrete is going to crack.
That's what the reason.
If you go the expansion job every 6 meters, it's not
Yeah.
going to crack never.
Okay.
It's not first time we're doing this job. It's not going to crack never.
Okay.
But do it properly. Expansion joint every 6 meters, all the way, never going to crack.
This track has got to last me 50 years. It's got to outlive me. Think it'll be okay?
Yeah, it should be all right. For 50 years, definitely.
The great thing about this roll-on, roll-off lorry with the crane is it's so versatile. Earlier, Ben delivered plant, and now it's on to materials. It's a very tight space, and the team on site have requested Ben offload the materials directly into the workshop. It's that time when everybody's gone home and I go for a walk in the yard. I had to spend some time studying the drawing about the track weighing system because I didn't fully understand it, but now I've managed to get my head around it. I need to go and take some dimensions. I had a call from Matt. At least I can say that the defendants are consistent, because at the final hour they submitted a request to the judge to have it moved again because they said where the court was, that's not their local court, when they're the ones who moved it there in the first place because they thought we wouldn't go there. The judge said, no, we are going to hear the case right now. And Matt presented all the facts, and I'm happy to say we got the judgment, and we are waiting for an order which will be enforced, and we will be trying to claim back our £60,000 plus all the costs associated with that, including travelling all the way to the north of Wales. And on that note, someone's going to get weighed in. The train is going to get weighed in, to be exact. Right here, this is the ideal position for our weighing system. Look at that bit of handiwork. Overall, the weighing system needs around 12 meters. All of that 12 meters doesn't have large parts within the rails. There are parts, if you look down this end, where there will just be weighers here and here. But in this section, there's 2 bars which go across, forgive my pronunciation, and some of the sleepers here would have to be removed. However, when you have concrete sleepers, you don't need to have sleepers at the same interval which you would have if you're doing timber. So if I roughly mark this area out, just over 700 from center to center here. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Quick calculation. 18 times 0.7 equals 12.6 meters. Perfect. So we'll dig this area out as if we're going to concrete it, but the track weigh-in system installer said do not concrete this area because there's parts that you may need to break out. So dig it out, remove some of the sleepers, prepare it, get it ready. And I thought we could have a smaller pipe, like a 50mm pipe, but I'm told no, we are going to need a 100mm pipe coming into here. The small 2x1 container I showed you a few weeks back will be sat somewhere here, and then a 4-inch pipe will be under the ground and it will pop up here. So here we'll have a T-piece and a cable coming to this rail, and then at this point we'll have an elbow and the cable coming to this rail. Now when we do concrete, eventually, we're going to need to concrete with that all in place already. And they're going to need to fix their weighing systems underneath. So concreting means that we're going to have to cut this out afterwards, doing double the work. So I'm going to ask the installer to prepare this area, but do not concrete it. And that's it for Thursday. It's Friday morning, I'm in the yard, and the Ashville number plate on the Defender is about to come off for this, which is the original plate. Scania were kind enough to make them up for me. The Ashville plate will be going on a different vehicle, and possibly not the vehicle that you think it will be going on. Anyway, train's arrived, let's get it offloaded. Saturday, and I'm in the yard. It was a busy day on the grabs today. All in all, we had 14 grabs to do, but one of the sites was in central London where we had to do 10, and I think we ended up doing 6 or 7 because the site closed at 12 o'clock. Had the site closed at 1 o'clock, we would have been able to get the extra loads out. Hopefully the client recognizes that we had the commitment and resources to do 10. It's a sunny day and a happy day for Mumsy. Courtesy of John Canavan at Scott's of Thropson, she managed to go to the Chelsea Flower Show. Here she is walking around, buying plants to put in a garden, which we don't have. However, the balcony will look fabulous with all these new plants. Thanks, John, much appreciated. I worked from home this morning. I didn't come straight into the yard because sometimes when you're here, there's so much going on and you see things out the corner of your eye and you're talking and you're asking questions and you're answering questions. Sometimes it can be a bit of a distraction. I kind of had to rejig what was going on in my head. There's so much going on a daily basis, and I thought about this morning, like life is just crazy at the moment. Like this week, we got our own train. Click here to watch that video. We have a loading shovel up at Welder Fabber. Hopefully the transmission will get fixed. We have train track going in a new yard. The industry itself isn't that busy, and we're trying to juggle it all and push forward at the same time. There are some difficult conversations that need to be had and situations which need to be managed. After my time this morning away from the yard, I reorganized in my head the to-do list of the importance of things, which I pretty much know, but sometimes you lose sight of it. And other than family and health, forgive me, content is not first after that. The business is first. I need to get ready over this bank holiday weekend to confront some issues. Sometimes you have a problem that needs to be dealt with. And when you shy away from it or you think you're sidestepping, you lose an element of control. You need to confront a problem head on. Even if you haven't solved the problem, you have an element of control because you have put a plan in place to resolve it, as opposed to just hovering and floating around in the wilderness of the abyss and hoping that if you hide under some coats, everything will work itself out. It will not. The future is bright, but it is not a straight road. The road is doing this, 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 up, down, side, this way. More often than not, you're climbing up a hill. You get to this point, and at this point of the hill, you look around and you have a vantage point and you think, I've climbed this far. You can look around and you can say, oh wow, this is great. This is excellent, I'm happy with this. Or you look to your left and there's another hill. Gone up here, had a look, and there's another hill. And then you go up that hill. And then you get there and you look around and you can see the previous hills below you. And you have an overview, a bird's eye view, and you think this is great. And then you look there and you see another hill. And you continue to keep going and keep going. And every time you do it, you gain experience from doing it and you become stronger. And each time, thus far, everything that I thought was the worst thing that happened, eventually, years later, this goes for personal life and business, worked out to be the best thing that happened. So, time to recalibrate, close a couple of tabs, focus, and get ready for Monday, even though it is bank holiday. Still gonna get ready for Monday to do what I need to do, and Tuesday, I'll be able to communicate and converse with everyone else. And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 190. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down here for last week's episode, which was number 189.